Ciao.
So today we're going to talk a little bit more about those disappearing blocks. The last ones were so much fun to do. I want to show you another way to get an even more interesting pattern out of the blocks that we've already sewn. Hi, I'm Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner, and I am a passionate quilter and I love sharing new ideas and techniques with you. So in today's disappearing blocks, I want to show you one more idea on how to get real interesting patterns out of when we cut those blocks up. For everybody that's subscribed, I want to thank you. I do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It's free and it does help me out. And also, for those of you that want the Quilter's Composition Checklist, it's down in the description below. Click on that link and sign up and you will get your copy. So let's go over to the cutting table and let's talk more about disappearing blocks. Okay, here we are at the cutting table, and here is the last block that I showed you how to cut, and this is just a disappearing 9 patch. And how, when you start moving these blocks around, you get a different pattern and a different design. And this one is particularly lovely on point like this. I've done several of these disappearing 9 patches on point like that. It gives you a really lovely block. So this is one cut, but I want to show you how to do 2 cuts to your block so that you get an even more interesting, unique design. Now here is a really lovely pinwheel. Now this is a 12.5 unfinished block. It would finish at 12 inches if I were to leave it like this. Now in order to make 2 cuts in each direction, this way and then this way, I need to find the middle, which I have this nice seam to find the middle, and then I need to divide this into thirds. Now you're going, oh my gosh, that's just like math, and I don't want to do that. So I figured out that in order to get my 12.5 inch all the way across into thirds, I need to go 2 1/8 off of my center line and 2 1/8 this way, and I'll make 2 cuts here and then 2 cuts here. All right, now I'm going to turn my block. Now normally I try to line my center line up on my mat so that I have a reference point as far as that's concerned. Now once again, I'm going to go 2 1/8 off this center line, which I've got lined up, and I'm going to make another cut. Then I'm going to work this way from 2 1/8 and make my second cut that way. So now I have all of these pieces. It's time to change my blade. Okay, so now I have all of these pieces. I've got my pinwheel in the center. I can do a number of things with this block now. Just by changing that. I can go this way. And now I've got I've got a much different design. I can change it to go this way. And now I've got a churn dash with a pinwheel in the center. You can do so many things just by cutting your blocks. Now, it's really important to understand that for every cut I make, you need to add a 1/2 inch to your block size. So here I had one cut and then I have another cut. So I needed to add a full inch to this if I wanted to get a 12.5 unfinished block out of it. But since I started with a 12.5 inch block, this is going to be much smaller. This is probably going to end up 11.25. If my math is right, this should end up as an 11.25 inch block. So let's talk about how to enlarge your blocks so that you get that really nice size block that you're after. Okay, so this block is, as you can see, it's bigger. I paper out and I figure out the math. I figure out in order for me to get a 12.5 inch block, because I know I'm going to lose a 1/2 inch there and a 1/2 inch here, so that's going to shrink my block smaller. And then I know this way is going to be the same, so it's going to shrink that way. So in order to get a 12.5 unfinished block, I need to start at 13.5 inches. So here is a much bigger square. This is actually 13.5 inches. Now I made this bigger so that I know when I make my two cuts that I will end up with a 12.5 inch square. So how do you do that? So let's talk about how you make your squares bigger so that you know. So for every cut you make, you are going to lose a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch on this side and a 1/4 inch on that side for a seam. So you're going to lose a 1/2 inch here and you're going to lose a 1/2 inch here. You'll lose a 1/2 inch here and here. So because these are all equal, you know that you need to go an inch bigger. You need a 13.5 inch square in order to get a 12.5 unfinished, 12 inch finished. So every cut you make, you're losing a 1/2 inch. In order to figure out how big these squares need to be to get my 13.5, by the time I add my seams, I know I have a 7 inch square in each one of these. I know it's a little bit of math and sometimes it's hard to do, but this is really, it's not that hard. Explaining it is hard. Doing it is not that hard. So I know, because this is a bigger square, I know I can't go 2 1/8. I need to go 2 1/4 in order to get equal thirds out of this. So I will be cutting 2 1/4 off of my center line because my square is bigger. So I'll cut here and then I'll go 2 1/4 off of my center line the other way. And then I'll turn it, get it all lined back up again. And then I'll make my cuts again. There's 2 1/4 and there is 2 1/4 off of that one. So there are my cuts. So now, once again, I can just start moving my pieces around. And here I have something very similar to Jacob's Ladder or some of those Road to Californias and things like that. Oh, wait. Wrong way. This way. So, simple, easy way to do it. It's the math that always gets in the way. And I think her website is called The Questioning Quilter. She has a table for how to cut different size blocks in order to get the size block that you want. So The Questioning Quilter has done the math for you. It's really out there and it gives you these really simple, easy blocks that you can make and then cut up and then put back together, and you get a really interesting block. You could do something like that and makes it even more interesting. And this actually on point would be really pretty. Look at how pretty that is on point. But I'm a big fan of on point quilts. I love on point quilts. So look at how pretty that is. I mean, I love this idea. It's really simple, and it kind of lets you experiment and play with your fabric and with these scraps that we all have. So let's use them, let's play with them, and let's get something interesting and unique out of our scraps. So I hope that was helpful for you. The disappearing blocks are really quite simple and easy to do. Don't let them intimidate you. Leave me a comment. I would love to know, was this helpful? Are you going to try a disappearing block, cutting it twice? I'd love to see some of the blocks that you do. So in doing this, just remember you need to add that 1/2 inch and make those blocks just a little bit bigger in order to get that right size. So I want to thank you for watching. Also, please subscribe if you hasn't. It really does help me out, and I do appreciate it. Leave me a comment. I'd love to know if you're going to try this. Also, in the next video, we're going to talk more about what to do with those scraps that we have. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see you in the next one, and happy quilting.